But Jay, in your legal experience, this is Jack Smith saying without prejudice. So he's first of all saying very explicitly this does not at all mean that he doesn't believe that the case was strong, that the issues were there. He's also saying without prejudice, so technically, long shot, they could start over after President-elect Trump leaves office 4 years from January 20th. But practically speaking, he'll be 84 years old or something, and how unlikely that is. So is this filing basically the end of all those years of investigation by the January 6th committee and then what some say is the belated launch of the investigation of Donald Trump by a special prosecutor appointed by, of course, Attorney General Merrick Garland?
I think, Andrea, the answer to your question is likely. The big legal question, I'm sure if Barbara were with us, she would tell you, is the statute of limitations. The statute of limitations for federal crimes is generally 5 years. And the question will be, is that statute running while President Trump is in office after this indictment has been dropped? Or is the statute somehow told while he's in office in the event they want to try to re-indict the case in 2029 when he leaves office? And he has to leave office in 2029, no matter what. And so the principal reasoning behind a statute of limitations is so that the defendant feels like he's no longer in jeopardy. He's out of jeopardy. He's not on notice of any criminal charges. But here, the Department of Justice has brought this case against him, and now they're seeking to end it without prejudice. So there'll be a huge legal issue about whether or not at that point in 2029, the case is beyond the statute of limitations. The cases are beyond the statute of limitations.
And Barbara has joined us again. Barbara, sorry for that brief interruption, but pick it up there. The people who have been named, at least, for the Justice Department by Donald Trump have vowed to, well, they said that he himself said, I think he would get rid of Jack Smith in 2 seconds. They vowed to prosecute his prosecutors, to retaliate against them. They will certainly take whatever legal steps might be necessary to kill this altogether. I mean, what do you expect?
I do think that's right, Andrea, including the possibility that Donald Trump may try to pardon himself. But I think this move by Jack Smith was about the best he could do under these circumstances. I know there are people who support Donald Trump who are celebrating it as an exoneration, which is not true. And I know that there are people who are disappointed at the end of these cases and suggesting that Jack Smith is somehow obeying in advance. But I think if you read this filing carefully, you will see he makes references to a couple of things. One is that while a sitting president cannot be indicted or criminally prosecuted while he is serving, the Supreme Court, the Office of Legal Counsel has said, but he can after he leaves office. And it also makes reference to what Jay was just discussing with regard to a tolling of the statute of limitations. And so that's why this has been dismissed without prejudice. And I also think that in light of those vows of revenge that we've been hearing from Donald Trump and prosecute the prosecutors from Pam Bondi, I think one of the reasons that Jack Smith has done this preemptively is so that he gets to control that narrative. The case is dismissed, and so strangely, they would have to refile charges if they wanted to dismiss it with prejudice. And I don't think they're going to do that. It would be improper to do that because you're only supposed to bring criminal charges if you intend to follow through with them. So I think that Jack Smith here has thought strategically and done the best he can do. Now, if they do investigate them anyway, I don't think there's any evidence whatsoever of misconduct, and so those cases would be futile, though certainly making their lives miserable by undergoing investigation could be a painful experience for all of them. But if I'm Jack Smith, I say bring it on because truth is a defense.